This is the furthest he has ever gone for a solo attack at a Grand Tour. Do you guys remember when this kind of thing used to be like once in a lifetime? Chris Froome, Jared Italia, 2018, Floyd Landis. We didn't see these kind of things very often in traditional cycling or even in the EPO era. This is kind of like even more insane than the doping era of the past. Tadej Pogacar being just like a monster. As always, we've become accustomed to it. By now, this is kind of the standard. This was one of the first times Tadej Pogacar ever did a kind of far-out attack at a Grand Tour. This was the Tour de France in 2021, which he won. He was followed by Carapaz for a little while, and then he dropped him after a second acceleration. And back then, this was like, what the hell? 30 kilometers to go, and this guy is just going off on his own. That's crazy. But yeah, he just made everyone else look amateur. Riders were literally shaking their heads in disbelief as he passed them on that day because they'd never seen it before. But now, fast forward to La Vuelta, 5 years later, and he's doing this at 50 kilometers to go. He only had, I think, 2 teammates left in this group at this point. I think it was Jay Vine and Almeida. Decathlon outnumbering him, and the commentators said something like, the best thing to do here for Pogacar in this situation is to attack. But if we had this situation 10 years ago, would you have ever suggested that a rider who's outnumbered by 5 riders, like a full team v1, would you ever suggest that rider should attack? Obviously not. You would say follow, wait until their leader attacks and then just mark their leader right at the bottom of a climb at 50 k's to go. That would be a stupid thing to do, and no one would have ever thought that would be possible. But nowadays, that is the norm. But this was the stage today, 104 kilometers, quite a short stage, and I did think that he would win this stage anyway. Pogacar. I didn't know whether he would be in the red jersey at this point, but 3 category 1 climbs with a 3rd category climb to finish. And then the race actually had a flat, and then the race ended after the descent of the final climb, and on the flat, a sprint to the line. And this was the result of the stage here. Pogacar obviously won it, but he won it by 2 minutes 40. Super strong Felix Gal. It was really, really good to see him racing like this, really taking it to Pogacar. He tried to follow him as well. He only lasted like 10 seconds, but still that was impressive. The force of a whole team was not enough to even put a dent in Pogacar's lead. He just kept opening it up more and more and more. It was just unbelievable and crazy to watch. Like, just one guy is just so much stronger than everyone. Even when they're working together, there's no point. So here's Decathlon, 33 k's to go. Well, the goal here was probably to put pressure on everyone behind and set Gal up for an attack. It wasn't to close the gap to Pogacar because that's impossible. And at this point, it did drop down under the 2-minute mark. Look at Roglic go here. He closes the gap between, he just teleported out of that group. It was crazy. You can see him just coming around that bend there. He literally just vanished. And the commentators were like, where's Roglic? That turns out he's attacked, and he's just literally floated up the mountain to the wheel of Oscar Onley and Felix Gal. It was actually really impressive to see. But it was such an exciting race to watch, actually, between all of these favourites. I found it all really entertaining to watch this. It's a shame that it wasn't the race for the red jersey. That is basically over already. Who saw that coming? I didn't. I think we all knew what would happen at this sort of Vuelta when it comes to Pogacar, and that the exciting racing would be for second. But that's just how it is in cycling now. We've seen this so many times now. It's hard to believe it to begin with, but it's just repetition to make it normal, I guess. The repetition makes it seem believable in a way because it's just accepted now. It's just normal. It's no longer special. But anyways, Carapaz here, struggling actually. Carapaz wasn't as strong as he was at the Tour de France. Probably going to improve, hopefully, throughout the 3 weeks. Roglic looking great. Onley looking insanely good. Felix Gal, maybe not as distinctly excellent as I thought he would be. Clearly he has competition here for second place. It's not going to be a straightforward second place result for Gal, as I suspected it might have been at the start of this race. But in the end, anyway, looking at the result, that second group pretty much finished together. Roglic at the back of the group, but he got the same time. Enric Mas, Sepp Kuss, Oscar Onley, Felix Gall, and Jano Waida. Also Intermarché. This guy's 20 years old, guys. Yeah, I'd never even heard of him before. And he is apparently really, really good. So, yeah, get that. He beat Felix Gall in the sprint at the end. Just shows how tired Gall must have been for a 54-kilo guy to outsprint him. But clearly has a good punch on him. I mean, looking at his stats here, he's a bit of a one-day racer as well as a climber. So pretty good to see like a 50-something kilo guy have a good punch, a good kick. It's not something you often see, actually. Chris Froome's 80-kilometer Giro d'Italia solo attack was epic. Yeah, Pogacar hasn't actually done an 80-kilometer solo attack yet, so that's something he needs to think about. He's more than capable of it. But that was like a once-in-a-lifetime kind of experience, maybe once-in-a-career kind of experience that you would see on TV. Because when Chris Froome attacked at that Giro d'Italia, where he attacked 80 kilometers out from the finish, he had his team railing it to this point. This was Alisson, this was the last teammate in the chain of command, and that's when Chris Froome launched. So he had his team setting him up. Simon Yates had already dropped off and he was to lose the entire race on that day. It's not like Chris Froome attacked when Sunweb were railing it on the front for Dumoulin, or Mitchelton Scott weren't on the front railing it up the climb for Simon Yates when Chris Froome attacked. Like, we would have gone crazy if Chris Froome had done this solo 80-kilometer attack when a different team was on the front, like absolutely railing it on the front, and Chris Froome just like attacks and disappears and no one can hold his wheel, and that's the end of it. He just takes a 3-4 minute lead. We would have all gone crazy accusing him of all sorts of things, but it was okay to accuse Chris Froome of whatever you wanted back then, because people just hated Chris Froome and hated Team Sky, generally speaking. Not everyone, like I was a fan, but it was more sort of normal if you wanted to accuse Chris Froome of cheating or throw urine on his face. People didn't get as mad about it. Whereas today, if you say Pogacar is doing anything, it's like, oh my gosh, you get absolutely blasted for it. You get verbally abused so quickly. People are so quick to defend Pogacar, and I think the reason is he's just so likable. Like, how can such a nice guy be a cheater? Like, it's impossible that a nice guy could be a cheater. He's really sold his personality well, and he is a really nice dude. I actually like him, his personality. But I don't know whether to trust cycling yet. It's been through so much stuff, and the money involved nowadays kind of makes me a bit suspicious as well. The types of sponsors and everything, and the people in the teams that run these teams, they're not clean at all. They've had really shady history. So whether we can trust cycling is just something I don't know whether personally I can yet. And I think a lot of you agree with me and a lot of you disagree with me too. That's fine. Let me know your thoughts below. What did you think of today's race? What did you think of Pogacar destroying the Vuelta 4 stages in? Well, you could say 3 stages in, because yesterday didn't even happen because of the hailstones. So 3 stages in and the Vuelta is over. Is there any use watching the rest? Well, for me, I will, because I'm excited to see what happens with Roglic, because I love Roglic. I'm excited to see what happens with Gall, because I really like Gall. I'm excited to see who is second, who is third. And I'm really starting to like Oscar Onley as well. Not just because he's British, but because I remember watching him after I finished a Gran Fondo. We call them sportives in England. I finished a sportive race, and I was at the finish line and I was watching on the big screen Oscar Onley versus Jonas Vingegaard. I can't remember the race, but that was the first time I ever noticed Onley. Really, really top rider. He was able to actually challenge Vingegaard on an uphill sprint, and that was really cool. I think that was back in 2023 or 2022. I think it was 2022. But yeah, anyways, guys, let me know what you think below. Do you think this is a clean performance from Pogacar? Do you think the Vuelta is still exciting? Are you going to keep watching it? Let me know below. Yeah, thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't.